Have you ever asked yourself about the true value of things? Not the price written on them, but their intrinsic worth in a moment of need. Is a gleaming gold coin more precious than a cup of pure water in a barren desert? And could a dry straw, flying aimlessly with the wind, be the key to the greatest fortunes and the deepest lessons? Our story today is a journey to answer this very question, a journey that begins with nothing, only to arrive at everything. In ancient times, in a tranquil Japanese village woven between golden rice fields, lived a poor man named Kenji. Kenji was not a lazy or reckless man. He was a righteous and diligent man, waking with the first thread of dawn and knowing no rest until darkness swallowed the last light of the sun. But despite his toil and fatigue, it seemed that fate had closed every door in his face. His days were pale copies of one another, a monotonous rhythm of hard labor and a little rice that barely filled his small bowl. He saw wealth in the fields of others and felt poverty in his empty stomach and the hollowness of his spirit. And on a moonlit night, having reached the depths of his despair, as he sat contemplating his rough, chapped hands, he realized a painful truth. He realized that the solution did not lie in more back-breaking work, but in the search of wisdom that opens one's insight. In that moment, he remembered the whispers he used to hear from travelers, tales of an old sage who lived alone on the summit of the cloud mountain, a sage who was said to see the hidden threads of destiny and understand the silent language of the world. And at the dawn of the next day, with the rise of a new sun, Kenji made his decision. He left his axe, left his field, and began his most difficult journey, a journey in search of an answer. The path to wisdom was arduous, just like life itself. Every step on the mountain trail was a test of his resolve, and every rock he climbed was a reminder of his weakness. The cold winds whispered words of doubt in his ears, and the foggy path stirred a single question in his heart that echoed with every breath. Will I find the answer, or am I chasing a mirage? Finally, after days of walking, he arrived. There was no majestic palace or imposing guards as one might imagine, but merely a small, simple hut that clung to the mountain as if it were a part of it, and an old sage sitting before it, seemingly forgotten by time but not by wisdom. Kenji recounted the story of his poverty and despair to the sage, pouring out all the bitterness in his heart before him. He did not ask for money or food, but only for a glimmer of hope, a thread of light, a single piece of advice to change the course of his life. The sage listened in silence, his narrow eyes watching Kenji with a gaze deeper than any well. When Kenji finished speaking, a long silence prevailed, broken only by the sounds of the wind. Then the sage smiled, a faint smile, and said softly, in a voice like the rustling of leaves, "I have seen good in you, my son. Listen well, for this is my only advice to you. When you leave this place, hold on to the very first thing you stumble upon. Do not underestimate it, no matter how trivial it may seem, for it will be the key to your future." Mysterious words, like a riddle, but they were all that Kenji had. He bowed gratefully and began the journey back, his heart a mixture of hope and confusion. On his way back, while his mind was still trying to decipher the sage's words, the unexpected happened. His foot tripped on a stone, and he fell on his face. When he got up, dusting off his clothes, he found that the first thing his hand had touched was a straw. Just a worthless, dry straw, one of the millions trampled underfoot every day. He felt the blood boil in his veins. Was this the sage's joke? Was this whole arduous journey for a single straw? He was about to throw it away in anger, to scream at the sky, but the echo of the sage's calm voice resounded in his mind. Do not underestimate it. He let out a long sigh, clutched the straw in his hand, and went on his way, possessing nothing more than his straw, his disappointment, and a glimmer of faith in the wisdom of an old man. And as he walked, the threads of destiny began to move. A dragonfly with its shimmering wings annoyed him, and with a swift motion he caught it and tied it to a thin thread to the end of the straw. In an instant, the dead straw had been transformed into a simple toy, a toy that spun in the air with every breeze. At that moment, his path crossed with the procession of a nobleman, luxurious carriages, strong guards, and silk clothes. But all this wealth was powerless against the sound of a small child's cry, a sharp cry that filled the air. With a kind heart, and without thinking twice, Kenji stepped forward and offered his simple toy to the child. The crying stopped abruptly, and the tears turned to astonishment, then into a pure laughter as he saw the dragonfly spin. The child's mother, who had been unable to soothe him, looked at Kenji with an indescribable gratitude. She did not see a poor man in shabby clothes. She saw a man who had given her child a moment of happiness. And as a token of gratitude, she gave him 3 luxurious oranges, exuding a fragrant aroma, far more valuable than a straw. Kenji looked at the oranges in his hand, then at the road ahead, and felt a strange warmth spread through his chest. Maybe it wasn't a joke. The journey continues, and the straw has turned into 3 oranges. Now Kenji no longer walks in despair, but in anticipation. And what he did not know was that the next opportunity was waiting for him around the bend. He found a caravan stopped, the faces pale. A lady from the caravan, dressed in expensive clothes, had fainted from the intense heat and thirst. At that moment, their treasures were not worth a single drop of water. Kenji did not think twice. He offered the most precious thing he had at that moment. The orange juice, which a moment ago was just a fruit, was now more precious than gold, because it meant life. And as he saved a life, he was rewarded with something far more precious. A huge roll of rare silk, the color of the night sky, its texture softer than water. Its price exceeded that of 1,000 oranges. Now the sage's words were embedded in his heart as certainty. From a straw to an orange to silk, every step was leading him further. But the greatest test was yet to come. As he was carrying the heavy roll of silk, a samurai passed him riding a magnificent black horse, a horse that looked like it was born of night and storm. And suddenly the magnificent horse collapsed. To the samurai, who was in a hurry, this horse was now dead. It had become a burden hindering his mission. The samurai saw the silk and saw in it an opportunity to compensate for his loss. A quick trade, a worthless horse for a precious cloth. To the samurai, it was a winning deal. But Kenji saw something else. He saw an opportunity where others saw an end. With a little water and care, and the patience he had learned from poverty, life returned to the body that its owner had abandoned. The horse was not dead, just exhausted. And now Kenji was no longer that poor man walking barefoot. Now he is a man riding a horse second to none. His appearance had changed, but his heart remained the same. And fate was preparing the final scene for him in this wondrous play. He passed by a luxurious palace and saw a wealthy merchant running out of it in panic, shouting as he was about to lose the deal of a lifetime because he lacked one thing: speed. And in that moment, the merchant saw Kenji. He did not see a poor man. He saw a horse. He saw salvation. He saw his last chance. The offer was insane, unbelievable. Take my palace, take my lands, take everything and give me your horse. In a moment of desperation, logic becomes a luxury. The deal was done. In moments, the ownership of everything was transferred. The merchant rode off to make his fortune, and Kenji stood alone, but now he stands before his palace.
The man who started his day with nothing but a straw was now the master of one of the largest palaces in the land. Was it a miracle or was it wisdom? The sage taught him a lesson more precious than all the treasures on earth. The true value of a thing does not lie in the thing itself, but in the eye of the one who sees it and in the need of the one who seeks it. Opportunity can come in the most trivial of things, and faith, insight, and a kind heart are what turn dust into gold. The story of the Straw Millionaire is not just a tale of wealth, but a beacon of thought, illuminating a path for us towards a deeper understanding of life. It is a reminder that the greatest journeys begin with a single step, and that the greatest fortunes may begin with a straw. If you enjoyed our journey today, don't forget to subscribe to Manarat Al-Fikr, where we travel together through the treasures of human heritage.